Hello everyone, welcome to sqadia.com. Our topic for today is lab diagnosis of viruses. We are at section 2 of this topic, and in this section we'll be discussing the classical detection techniques of viruses. So we'll start by explaining the complement fixation and then move on to hemagglutination and fluorescent antibody assay. We'll see how all of these methods are basically employing the same antigen-antibody interaction, and we can actually use that interaction to identify a type of virus inside the body. So the first one of these techniques is the complement fixation. In complement fixation, what happens is that if the antigen of a virus and a known antibody are homologous, that is, they are complementary to each other, then they will fix themselves or will bind, will form an antigen and antibody complex. And this complex will then be complemented to the or fixed or bound, and thus this will make it unavailable to lyse the indicator system. And this indicator system basically is comprised of sensitized red blood cells. This figure basically explains this phenomena more closely or more perfectly. You can see that we have an indicator system which is composed of these red blood cells and an antibody. And these antibodies can pair the red blood cell. And then we have a sampler system, which is the sample, which contains the antigen and the antibodies. And we have a fixed complement system. And if the antigen and antibody forms a complex, then this complex will basically complement with this fixed system, and it will be and it will get fixed or bound, and thus the indicator system won't be able to lyse it. So if the paired antigen antibody system is mixed with the indicator system, you mix them and you see that since the complex is formed, the indicator system won't be able to lyse the red blood cells because of this unavailability. And you can see that even after mixing in incubation, no hemolysis can be seen, which means that this sensitized red blood cells are not hemolyzed. If the antigen antibody system is not complementary or not bound, that is, they're not homologous, and then if they are mixed with the and incubated with the indicator system, then these sensitized red blood cell will be able to lyse, and thus hemolysis will occur, and this can be visualized. So we have the erythrocytes here. We have the anti-erythrocytes antibodies. Then we have the CEA. Then we have the anti-CEA antibodies. We have the complement system, and we have a membrane that basically attaches to this whole system. And this cell membrane will basically attach the complement system to itself. And if the antibodies and the antigen are complementary, they will bind to each other. And once they're bound, the anti-erythrocyte antibody won't be able to lyse the erythrocytes, and thus no hemolysis will occur. And this will show that yes, there is presence of that particular antigen against which we have the known antibody. And so this will help us identify the type of virus or the cells that are infected with a virus. The second one is hemagglutination inhibition. If a virus and antibody are homologous, the virus is blocked from attacking the erythrocytes and thus no hemagglutination will occur. So this is the type of test that is used only for the viruses that can agglutinate the red blood cell. What happens in this case is that if we have a virus and then we have a serum from a sample, and then obviously we have red blood cells, the virus will bind to the red blood cell, and thus they will be, if the virus are bound to the cell, then the virus will lyse the erythrocytes and hemagglutination will occur. But if the serum contains a type of antibody that is homologous to the virus, then this antibody is going to block the virus and the virus won't be able to bind the red blood cells that are present, and thus no hemagglutination will occur. This is also called hemagglutination inhibition because these antibodies are basically blocking the virus from attacking these red blood cell and causing lysis in these red blood cell, and thus you can see the hemagglutination inhibition occur, and we can visualize it and we can identify the type of the cells that are infected and from the cells that are not infected. So this is usually done when you have different or many a number of cells or number of samples, and you need to identify whether or not an antibody is present inside those cells or whether or not a virus is infecting those cells. So if the antibodies are present in all of those cells, then you can easily differentiate whether or not a virus is infecting those antibody or those cells. Because if a virus is infecting them, then you can see, and the antibodies are present in all of them, then hemagglutination will not occur, and this hemagglutination inhibition will occur because of the presence of the virus and the antibody, and the red blood cells won't lyse. But if there are certain samples which are not infected, that is, there is no, or which does not contain the antibody in them, then the virus won't be blocked and the virus will cause the hemagglutination or the lysis of the erythrocytes, and we can visualize that hemagglutination in those particular samples. The third one is a process or a type of diagnosis known as neutralization. So again, in neutralization, if the virus and the antibody are homologous, the antibody will bind to the surface of the virus and then blocks the entry of the virus inside the cell. So this is basically the neutralization of the virus. The virus infectivity will be stopped because the virus replication will be stopped and there will be no cytopathic effect formation or infection inside the animal cells. So you can see that the antibodies are basically bound to the viruses, and thus the virus is not able to enter the target cell. And since it's not able to enter the target cell, it cannot cause infection or it cannot cause any type of cytopathic effect that can be visualized. So it means that the antibodies are basically neutralizing the virus. This can be done in cell-free level or we can control the spread of virus from one cell to another. So inhibition of cell-to-cell viral spread can be stopped. That is, if the virus is being released from the infected cell, then by the addition or by the presence of antibodies, no further cells can be infected by these viruses. Similarly, there are different receptors that can be blocked, and those receptors basically usually helps the entry of the viruses. And if you block those receptors, you can actually ensure that the virus is not spread further inside the cell. Then there is inhibition of viral transcytosis. As you can see here, this is the normal, there's no antibody present, right? So you can see that the virus is entering the cells. But in certain cases, the antibodies can block the virus at different levels, and thus the virus cannot infect the cells or cannot spread from the cells. And then there is intracellular neutralization as well, in which the viruses enters the cell, but the antibodies are present that neutralizes the virus, and the virus cannot spread further. Then we have fluorescent antibody assay. In this, as the name suggests, there is a fluorescent tag that is attached to the antibody, and that antibody is homologous to the virus infected cell. Then we can see a type of signal, which is usually apple green in color, and we can visualize it through ultraviolet microscopy, and we can see whether or not a cell is infected by a type of virus. As you can see here, these are the different antigens that can actually bind to there are different antibodies that are bind to these fluorescent tags, right? And for example, in this case, we have the green fluorescent protein. And if these green fluorescent proteins are homologous to the viral infected cells, or to any component of the virus, then these antibodies will basically bind to those infected cells, and a signal will be produced, and you can detect that signal by the use of ultraviolet microscopy, and you can see that different cells are giving signals that shows that they are infected by viruses. So only those cells that contains the virus or that are infected by virus will be able to bind the tagged antibody, and the fluorescent can be seen only after the antibody is bound to that particular cell. So as you can see in this figure, you can see all those green signals that basically shows the infection of virus cells, and the places where you cannot see any signal is basically black. That shows the cells that are not infected. That's basically the background of that shows that there are certain cells that might not be infected, and but mostly the sample contains cells that are infected by the virus, and thus the antibody is binding to those cells. So this is another way of identifying the cells. But again, this is used only in the case where the virus is not, where the virus is actively multiplying inside the cell. Because if the virus goes into a latent form or incorporates its genome inside the cell, then you know that no such protein or no such viral expression can be seen inside the cell, and we cannot actually distinguish, and we cannot identify if a cell is infected by a particular type of virus. So in this section, we covered the complement fixation. We saw the hemagglutination and hemagglutination inhibition, and then we saw the fluorescent antibody assay that can be visualized with the help of ultraviolet microscopy. That's all from this section. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.